Hi everyone, my name is Yoav Waxman. I'm a professor of economics at Coastal Carolina University. Many educators around the world had to shift to online delivery, and that also means having student presentations online. In this tutorial, I'm going to give you specific tips on how to have student presentations online and the different function in Zoom that you can use to facilitate those presentations. So as you can see in this Zoom meeting, I have student 1 and student 2. And these are not actual students, I actually logged in with my other devices. So you can see I'm using my cell phone on one side and I'm using my iPad on the other side. So essentially logged into the meeting with 3 different devices. And I did that in order to demonstrate how to incorporate student presentation. So the first thing you want to make sure is that students are able to share their screen, and there are 2 ways you can do this. One is you can go up, and right above the student is a drop-down menu, and you can click on that, and you can make the student a co-host. Be careful not to make the student a host, because then they'll have control over the meeting, including the ability to cancel the meeting and kick you out. So make sure you click on co-host, and you'll be asked to confirm that. And now student 2 is able to share their screen, much in the way that you as a host are able to share your screen. The other way to do it is if you go down to the bottom of the screen in a laptop or an iPad, it's going to be at the top. I'm going to show you how to go into your account. So I'm going to share my screen over here. Okay. And now I'm going into Chrome. I'm going to open a new window, and I'm going to type CCU Chance, which is where my account is located, my Zoom account at Coastal Carolina University. I'm going to sign in, and then under account, I can click on setting. And then I'm going to go look for the share, and you can see one of the options on the setting is only allowing the host, which include the co-host, to share, and allowing all the participants to share. So I can click on this and save this option, and that will allow everyone in the class to share their screen. So a lot of it depends on what you need for the class. If you have one group in the class to present that with making the team members of that group co-host would probably work just fine. But if you have everyone in the class presenting, you may want to go before the meeting and allow everyone in the class to share their screen. Once you're done it, the participant can do just what I just did. They can click on share the screen. When they do that, they have different options. They can share everything in their screen. It's important to tell the student that when they do that, the last program that they had open will immediately pop up. So if they have like a private email or website that you don't want to show other people, make sure to ask them to close all their private programs before they share their screen. The other option is to click on an individual program and share that instead. And the benefit of doing that is that you will not see the taskbar at the bottom of the computer. It's easier for people to focus on that particular program. However, on the downside, once you switch to a different program, the other students in the class will not be able to see what the student is doing. And of course, there's also the option of using the whiteboard. If students want to write something during a presentation, they can click on this option. If a student is sharing a media, like a video, they probably want to click on the checkbox at the bottom left, which is to share the computer sound. Otherwise, people at home will not be able to hear the video. So with that, let's share the screen one more time. And one thing you want to do before a meeting and when you have a presentation is ask the student to get everything ready. And that includes opening all the programs. So in this case, I have a PowerPoint presentation. So I wanted to make sure that's open and ready to go before the student presentation starts. And you also tell the students that if they have any videos, they should prompt the videos. And by prompting, what I mean is that they should start the video, because otherwise they may have to spend time searching for the videos. And once they started, it's going to go straight to commercial. So you want to be able to skip that and go straight to the video. So once the students have everything ready, the computer is ready, it's also important to have a backup plan. So usually if the students are working in teams, if one student has a bad internet connection, somebody else should be able to jump in and present from their computer instead. So for individual presentation, it's a little bit harder. What I tell students to do individual presentation is to log into the meeting with two separate devices. So they can log into the meeting with their computer and their cell phone. And if their computer fails, hopefully they have a strong enough cell phone connection to use their cell phone to do the presentation. Okay? But if they're presenting in teams, the best thing to do is to make sure that at least two members of the team have all the files for the presentation. And if one of them has a bad internet connection, the other person can just jump in and present from their computer. That being said, it's much easier to only have one member of the team run the presentation, so show the PowerPoint presentation, the presentation, the videos, or any media used, and then everybody else can switch speaking. Okay? It's also important to remind the student to unmute themselves when they're presenting and mute themselves again when they're not presenting, otherwise you're going to have a lot of background noises. So with that being said, I prepared this short document that I share with students every time I do a student presentation, and I want to show it to you. And I'm also going to provide a link in the comment section in case you want to share the same document with your student, and then use Canva to create this document. So once more, share my screen, and here's what I tell my student as they prepare for a presentation. First of all, practice presenting the presentation using the same technology. So if you're using Zoom in class, practice using Zoom. Obviously, if you're using Microsoft Teams or Google Meet, practice using that technology, and make sure you run for the entire presentation to see if there are any glitches together with your team. I have all the slides and media, as I mentioned earlier, ready to go before the presentation starts. That way you're not spending the beginning of the presentation searching for things on your computer. Also close any other type of media or programs that you're not going to use during the presentation, not only for privacy, but also because it's going to slow down the presentation. If you're using PowerPoint presentation, it's probably a good idea not to show the presentation, but actually run through the presentation in reading mode, because if you open the presentation fully in PowerPoint, it really chokes down the bandwidth and slows down the presentation. As a student, you can remind the professor to make you a presenter in Team or co-host in Zoom so you can share your screen. Make sure your face can be seen. A good way to do it is make sure you have a light in front of you. If you have a diffuse light like this one, you can make the light brighter or darker. If you don't have a light in the room, you can always face the window. But the important thing is that other students should be able to see your face, and you should be able to be seen from the chest up. So it's not just a face sticking out, or you're not too far from the computer. So have the student practice being right in front of the computer, looking at the camera, so they're not nervous looking at other students in the Zoom or Teams meeting, and also having the proper light on their face. Prompt all the videos before the presentation. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have a YouTube video or that type of video, you want to start it before the presentation is due, because you don't want to be searching for that video and showing commercial during the presentation. Close up, of course, any private videos, any private windows on your computer. Ask the participants if they can see your screen, especially if you're presenting for the first time. You want to make sure you're not making any mistake, like showing a specific program and not the program that you're trying to show. So a good practice is the first time you show something new, is just ask your teammates, if you have teammates, or the other students, if you don't have teammates, if they can share the screen, and then they can give it a digital thumbs up or just unmute themselves and say yes. And of course, at the end of the presentation, you want to stop sharing your screen and then make sure that you are there to answer any question. As I mentioned earlier, it's also important to have a backup presenter. So if your internet connection is not working, one of your teammates can jump in and do the presentation for you. So those are some of the basic tips that I have for team presentations. If you have student presentations in your class, if you have any questions or comment, please leave them below and I'll be happy to answer those.